Everyone, I am doing an Instagram live with KetoCon. Let me try and invite them. KetoCon. We're going to be talking to Rob. Okay, invitation sent. Hey everyone, hello. KetoCon has joined. Robin from KetoCon and I'm doing an Instagram live. Ask us anything. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Great. Nice to finally meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? You are recovering from an amazing trip to Costa Rica.
I know. It was fantastic. I had the best time ever. We didn't get too much sleep because it was nonstop, either filming or talking with one another. And then at night, we're all in the same Airbnb, so we'd stay up and talk even more. So, but it was fantastic. And, I hopefully we're going to do another retreat soon. So I'm going to be also leading a retreat there in Costa Rica. And so hopefully I'll get to see Kelly and so many other influencers as well.
Costa Rica is one of those places on my bucket list. For sure.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the place where we filmed was voted the best climate in the world a few years ago by National Geographic, I believe. Just absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, I would love it.
It was a lot of fun and also like very fulfilling to be around that group of people.
Exactly.
We're going to be at KetoCon, by the way, so we're super excited about that.
Oh, I can only imagine how fun that is, That was really my first experience meeting a lot of the people that I had met online before, but it was the first time I met them in person, So it was way more fun than I had anticipated it to
be. Yeah. I've seen clips and photographs that were taken during the event, during the weekend, and I'm really excited to learn more about it. I'm also really excited that Charles is going to be at KetoCon this year, and he's actually going to be opening the success stories panel by sharing a little bit about his history, his health history, and how he came to get involved in the Reverse series. And then we'll have a panel of people who have utilized keto, carnivore, and low carb diets and protocols around various conditions. So we're super excited about that too.
Oh, that's fantastic. When are the dates for KetoCon again?
It's April 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. And yeah, in Austin, Texas at the Palmer Event Center.
Fantastic. You heard it here, folks. Get ready.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So do you want to do and ask me anything? What did you have in mind?
Sure, that would be great.
Yeah.
I can start it off. I've been watching the comments or the people joining come through. I haven't seen any questions yet, but I can share with you some of the common questions. So the first question is about registration and check-in, because people always get after they purchase a ticket that they don't actually get a ticket in the mail. So the registration and check-in process at KetoCon is all electronic. So when someone purchases a ticket, they'll get a registration confirmation email, and that's really so when they arrive at the event, they just type in their confirmation number or their email address or their name. That will pop up on the check-in iPad, and then it will print their badge for them right away. That's one of the most common questions, believe it or not.
Okay.
And then
what I'm going to do, I'm also going to make sure that I'll download this interview and I'll upload it on my YouTube channel. So that's also good for my YouTube audience to be familiar with KetoCon, how the whole process is.
Okay, that would be great. So some of the other common questions, is KetoCon only for people who follow a ketogenic diet? And the answer to that is no. So this event originally launched as a way to bring people together that were following this lifestyle that needed the support. It was a way to build community. And so over the years, it has evolved. And at one time, when you walked into the door at the Palmer Event Center, it was all food product manufacturers. And that has changed quite a bit.
Really?
So you will find food product manufacturers there. And we do have a banned ingredient list, by the way. So we're pretty strict about who we will let in and who we won't. But there'll be a lot more than that at KetoCon this year. So the speakers and the vendors, the companies and the people that come to speak have changed. So we're still talking about, the underlying theme is still how low carb and ketogenic protocols can improve your health, how to utilize ketosis to address health complications, health issues. But we've expanded to increase topics like brain health, sleep health, emotional health. And so the speakers will be addressing all of these various issues. So it's not just the ketogenic diet, but research about the ketogenic diet and carnivore and low carb and how people are utilizing these protocols to improve their health, their metabolic health, most importantly. So, because as you know, once your metabolic health improves, everything else improves as well. So, KetoCon is not just for people who follow a ketogenic diet.
Mm-hmm.
Then, one of the other questions that I hear a lot is, why? Why do we do this? I mean, is this just like a business, or is this a passion project? And the truth is that it's a passion project. So I struggled for many, many years with metabolic issues when I was younger. And I found, luckily, that when I didn't eat carbohydrates, that I felt better. And that kind of propelled me or motivated me to find other ways to improve my health. And at the time, when I first started doing this, I was a banker. I worked in the financial services industry, and I traveled all over the country 3-4 weeks a month. I was gone all the time. And it was a really high stress environment. The corporate America environment was really high stress.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to find something else. And I had always hoped it would be in health, wellness, fitness, nutrition. And it all just kind of came together for me because I discovered this way of eating. My health started improving. And I was in several Facebook groups, and I stumbled across something asking for a program manager, looking for a project manager that I didn't even know if I had the skill set to do. And one thing led to another, and I jumped ship at corporate America and started working with a company called Keto, which at the time had multiple podcasts, several different business lines. We hadn't started doing KetoCon yet, but as soon as I joined this startup, we decided to do the first KetoCon. And we did in 2017. And it was very exciting for us because we were all looking for that community that we had found on Facebook, but in real life it wasn't there. So, it wasn't a time when you could go someplace and order a bunless burger, at a restaurant without people looking at you cross-eyed. It was just wasn't mainstream yet. So we did 2017, 2018, 2019 was huge for us. We had grown up to close to 3,000 people attended, and we had close to 100 vendors. And then, of course, 2020 happened. The company, Keto, my partner in all of that, came to me and said he couldn't continue doing this work anymore because without doing an event, we just weren't generating enough revenue to continue forward, especially since we didn't know when we'd be able to do another one. But I had already left my lucrative banking career and already made those changes, and I wasn't convinced that it was the end. So we came to an agreement. I took over and acquired everything, and we've just been waiting since then to be able to do the live event. So we did the event in 2022, which was a huge comeback for us, and the energy was just like overwhelming. People were so excited to be there. And so we're moving forward with KetoCon 2023. But I got involved in this simply because I had a passion for improving my own health. And when I saw the benefits, I knew it was someplace that I had to be involved. And now, at my point, at my stage in life, I have a granddaughter, 2 grown sons, and
You have a granddaughter?
I do. I have a 2.5-year-old granddaughter who is over the wall.
Oh, how old are you? You look so young. That's impossible.
You're very kind. I'm 60.
No
I am.
no.
Yes.
You don't look
Well,
50.
thank
Uh,
you. I appreciate
am I,
it.
that's
I'm
insane.
watching this laughing right now.
I am in you just shocked me right now.
Thank you.
Wow. That, you know what? This is such a common theme for people in the keto world that I am in shock when I hear people's ages, and it's like this really
Mm,
works. It's like the best anti-aging diet in the world. Just cut out the carbs.
yeah. I really feel that it's a combination of a lot of things. So the carbohydrates, absolutely. I have a very low tolerance. So, and I know that about myself. But I really think that uh, once I, once this became a lifestyle for me and the appetite correction issues resolved themselves, and I was fasting more, not intentionally, but just because that's the way things fell into place. And then eventually I did do some more fasting, but my diet personally is, I would say, 90% meat based. Uh, and I do still eat some fruits and vegetables, but I mean, I limit fruits to cucumbers and olives, avocados. Those are the ones that I like, that I do well with them. But yeah, I really think that my energy levels, my sleep has improved, and I didn't sail through menopause, but I got through it without, any serious health problems, without any significant weight gain. I don't have any like osteoporosis issues, like, similar to other women my age. So I'm
Right.
test that to uh, low sugar, low carbohydrate, high protein, and high fat. I no longer track those things. I just eat to satiety. But
Do
yeah,
you
I
exercise?
do. But I mean, not a whole lot. I mean, I do some yoga. I do some light weightlifting. Try to maintain my muscle mass, and I do a lot of walking.
Wow. That, whatever you're doing, I want it. I love it.
I would say the same about you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Well, I hope when I'm 60, I look like that, because like that would be a goal achieved for me. Because I have a passion for longevity and for anti-aging, and my audience knows that. I'm always talking about it, and talking about the new research. So it's fantastic to see somebody who's actually been doing it for a while. Because this is the best study, right? It's a person, it's a case study, and it's a long period of time, and these are the results right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm wondering, what were some of the metabolic conditions? Like, what was the initial? Because you started very, very young. So what was it that really triggered you to go down that path?
Uh, and a never-ending desire to feel better, and a lot of that was also driven by very stubborn extra weight that I seem to always carry around.
Mhm.
And I guess if I was honest, I think that it was probably more the aesthetic part than anything else that drove me early on. It's just this, like, I just didn't want to carry around this extra weight. And I mean, I I was quite heavy at one time. I mean, I didn't lose 100 pounds, but I mean, I did lose 70 pounds when I lost weight when I first started low carb. And so that weight contributed to a lot of depression. So when I said I'm super sensitive to carbohydrates, it affects my emotional well-being. Like, I get super high highs and super low lows. I do have a lot of metabolic disorder in my father's side of the family, a lot of diabetes and food addiction issues and that kind of stuff. And so I think that not addressed, that I would have easily gone down that path. And I probably was on my way down that path. So low carb and ketogenic and fasting and meat based really turned all of that around. So it healed all of the hormonal dysregulation that I was experiencing. And when I was in my perimenopause years, prior to finding low carb, I had a really, really hard time, super bad problems with night sweats and hormonal fluctuations and all of that kind of stuff very early on. So adopting this way of life fixed all of that for me too.
Mm. So how old were you, if you remember exactly when you like said, okay, now I'm gonna do keto, or was it like a transitional thing, a gradual thing? It was like one day.
It was gradual. It was gradual, because uh, I I would I was able to like incorporate a lifestyle and a protocol that made me feel good, but I always had these tendencies to fall back in old behaviors. And it wasn't really until I kind of dove deep into the knowledge base to understand what was actually happening and make those connections in my brain. So this is why I feel depressed, or this is why, I don't have energy, all those kinds of things. When all of that fell into place in my mind, it was much easier for me to continue to move forward without relapses and that kind of thing. The other thing that really helped was I would say in my 40s, um, I, I started to feel like I have to do what what I need to do to take care of myself, regardless of what my weight is. I have to take care of myself. I had I had kids, and then as I've gotten older, what's really happened is I'm looking around at people my own age where I see where they're struggling, but
Yeah.
really most important to me is my family. And so that 2.5-year-old granddaughter of mine, I really want to maintain my health so I can stay active with her and be part of her life. I don't want to be, I do want to live longer, but I want to be in good health. And I feel based on my experience that this is the way to do it.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And I mean, you can already see and feel the benefits. I feel like when you feel better, how can that not possibly translate to a longer, healthier
Right.
life, which is so funny to me when people leverage criticisms against keto or carnivore, low carb, and it's like, yeah, you feel great now, but like all of a sudden you're gonna have a heart attack. It's like, how does it doesn't work? It makes no common sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm very honored and happy and fulfilled to be part of a movement that is educating people.
Yeah.
And that keeps my own path as well. The longer I do this, the more of a lifestyle it is. And it's really not a question of what am I going to do today? It's what I do. But it also gives me an opportunity at this point in my life to share that and help educate other people. And that's kind of full circle what this event is really all about, is bringing education to the community, providing an environment where people feel part of that movement, and then they can walk away with tools to improve their health. And
Yeah.
I really think it's critical right now.
I agree, especially, coming out from those last 2 years, we're not going to say the trigger words, but, it's more than ever, we need people to put their health as a priority, because you're not going to be told what you need to hear. All the, companies want to just tell you what you want to hear. And it's unfortunately leading everybody down a very unhealthy path. I mean, just look around you and you'll see where we're headed. And it's terrifying, honestly, not just for your quality of life. I mean, for everything, really. Innovation, creativity, productivity, the fate of humanity. How can we make sure we are a successful species, that we're not going to go extinct, if we're not taking care of like our basic physiology, basic health? Everything else stems from there. Your brain is a physical organ. It needs to be healthy so that it can function the way it's supposed to. And yeah, it was a missed opportunity. I know with my students, I can talk more freely, but online, as you know, everybody, health experts and doctors and the people who are supposed to tell everybody else what we should be doing, we have been silenced, and we have been restricted. And so we need to maintain some sort of a platform. So we're not going to go there. But yeah, it was a missed opportunity. And so thank you so much for the work that you're doing. It is so needed. And unfortunately, the majority is still not aware of the power of an ancestral diet. But with people like you doing the effort that you're doing and all the other, health experts, hopefully we can bring about change. And it's happening, but we always want more.
Right, right. I agree. I definitely feel there is like an undercurrent being built in this space, because we're educating more and more people, and those people are changing their lifestyles, and just by their own actions, without even talking about it, influencing other people. And that's really how it happens. Then there's also some very powerful voices that have large platforms that can influence decision makers. And I do think over time it will change. My only concern is just the strength of those companies that have such deep pockets and spend so much money marketing to people who are not getting this education. That part scares me. But I mean, for me personally, my goal is to share this with as much people as possible. And I feel like that's my role in all of this. So my job is to bring in as many people like you and like Charles and all the other speakers at KetoCon who are coming in to educate, to share their knowledge. And by the way, none of these speakers get paid. They come in to literally to share with the community, because just like me, they feel that it's their role to educate people, because that's the way that we're going to make a difference. So that's kind of where I sit with all of this. It's just what I do now.
And yeah, I can see how fulfilling, how passionate you are about this. And that's so wonderful to follow a life that's just fulfilling to you, which is obviously why you left your previous career and transitioned to this.
Right.
Let's see. Everybody, thank you all for joining us. If you have any questions, let us know. I am talking to Robin. So Robin, you are the CEO of KetoCon, or the owner? What should I say?
I started a company called Q1 Productions. I'm the CEO and owner of that company, and KetoCon is one of our brands. So yes, I own the event.
What are other brands that you have?
I beg your pardon?
What are other brands that you have?
We started a platform called Certified Ketogenic, and I work with food product manufacturers to help them understand the importance of clean ingredients, and we certify those food products. We also have a business line called Ketogenic Lifestyle Coaching, where we have a team of coaches that work one-on-one with people to help them with their nutrition protocols. It's not necessarily always keto, sometimes it's low carb. But it all falls into the same family of lowering your insulin, improving your metabolic health. We have a business line called Ballistic Keto, which is an MCT oil powder that is flavored but unsweetened, and so that people can add sweetener if they want to or not. And it's mostly used for like coffee creamers. And we also have, I'm missing something, KetoCon. We stay busy with all of them for sure.
You have so many things on your plate, so I can only imagine. And a family, kids, and grandchildren. That's fantastic. I'm gonna try my best to make it to KetoCon. I know that I'm gonna possibly be in Costa Rica in April for the retreat, so I'm gonna see how we fit all those things in. But regardless, I know you're gonna have a really fantastic lineup. Can you share who's gonna be speaking at KetoCon?
Oh boy. No, because there's so many, there's no way I could include everybody. If you go to ketocon.org and look at the for attendee or the schedule menu item, the list of speakers is right there. And like I said, there's 70 speakers right now. The way that we accommodate that or accomplish that is KetoCon is held, the Palmer Event Center is a convention center, and it's 2 stories. So we have a keynote stage on the first floor that seats about 1,000 people. And then we have 3 breakout rooms upstairs so we're running speakers from when we start in the morning until 6 o'clock at night on Friday and Saturday, and then at 4 o'clock at night on Sunday, or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so Uh, since you asked, I'm just going to read off from A to Z, just a few from our website. So Catherine Arnston, who's the owner of Energy Bits, will be speaking. Ben Azadi, Dr. Sean Baker, Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Annette Bosworth, Martha Carlin, who owns the BioCollective, which is a Biotic Quest, which is a supplement. Dr. Anna Quebeca, Kara Collier, who is the educator at NutriSense and one of the founders of the company. We're doing a carnivore panel for women this year. So speaking directly to challenges and experiences related to the carnivore diet for women specifically. We're doing an entrepreneur mastermind session for people who are looking to do what I did, get out of their current career and build a new business. Brett Ender is one of the co-hosts of the Meat Mafia podcast. So he and his business partner, Harry, will be doing a regenerative agriculture panel. So we've brought in a group of local farmers to talk about food sourcing, so you can understand where your food is coming from, and talk about regenerative agriculture and what that really does for the environment. Let's see. Jenny Lynn Griffiths, who has been an attendee at KetoCon since day one. She's going to be coming in after all these years of education to talk about the gut-brain axis. Let's see. We have Dr. Stephen Hussey, who's coming in to talk about the heart and why it's so rare for people to get cancer of the heart. I mean, it goes on and on. Dr. Robert Kiltz will be speaking. I know he was there with you in Costa Rica. Bella Ma, who's Steak and Butter Gal, she was in Costa Rica. She'll be speaking at KetoCon as well.
You said her last name, and I'm like, what? I never knew what her last name was. It's funny. Okay.
Sally Norton, who is very highly respected in this space, is coming to talk about oxalates. I mean, I could talk for hours. Bill and Christina Schindler will be speaking at KetoCon. You're familiar with them. Robert Sykes, who owns a company called Keto Brick, who is also speaking at KetoCon since day one.
Yeah.
Dr.
He was telling me about it. He was telling me and urging me. He's like, "You have to go. You don't understand. You have to go." So we did our interviews, my channel and his, and we were talking about that like just a month ago in December, actually. So yeah. So yeah, I knew he was gonna be there. That's amazing. An amazing lineup. It's basically everybody. Everybody's gonna be there.
As many as I possibly can get into
Well,
that event.
Amazing. Yeah. How many days again? I know you said the dates, but how many days are they?
It's 3 days. It's Friday, Saturday, 21st, 22nd, 23rd.
And it lands on a weekend. That way people, even if they have jobs, you can just take, let's say, a Friday off, and then you can do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's a jam-packed with information, and you'll be so motivated, and it'll give you that spark, to embark on a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
Probably the single biggest change you can do for your health.
Absolutely. I think the most impactful part of the experience of attending KetoCon is really the energy that you feel when you walk into an environment where you're just immersed in the energy of people who are passionate about turning around their health, improving their health, learning more about fitness, learning more about things like cold plunge and sauna and all the tools you can use to improve your health.
Right. Right. It's not just the diet. You talk about all those other things. I love the part about the business, because a lot of people are so passionate about this topic, and they want to do something with their life where they feel it's a meaningful contribution. So I think that's very a unique offering, and I think people would love that. I know I would,
Yeah. We've done that. Actually, we've done that panel every year. And of course the panelists have changed every year, but the whole point is, I would say 90% of the people that I meet in this space came to it because of personal experience. And I always use the term, my crisis became my calling. And although I didn't wake up one day and say, I'm in crisis, I need to use this to, find my calling. It was gradual, of course. I mean, I'd love to help people do it a lot faster than I did. I struggled for too many years, but I think it's important for people to have that information. And there's so much value someone who has that experience can bring to the rest of the world, because your experience is unique to everybody else. So
So
there's
true.
someone out there that's going to hear your message, and you will make a difference. That part, I mean, really, what else is there in life?
I love what you said, that your crisis became your calling. And I've always said that in a different way, that your struggle is your biggest advantage, and it's the same thing, right? And speaking of that, what are some of the struggles you had when you first started? What were the hardships that you encountered?
Jumping from corporate America, or just
No, with your health, with
health?
you. Actually, we can talk about that too. But both, I think, are very interesting, at least to me, and hopefully to everybody. Let's talk about the health challenges first, and then we'll talk about the career challenges.
So they were all related. All of my problems were related to my inability to regulate my insulin levels. I know that looking back, but I struggled through. The depression was probably the most debilitating part, because I would have very high highs and very low lows,
Wow.
and a lot of brain fog. So I recognized that looking back. Looking at pictures of myself when I was struggling, I was struggling. I had skin issues. Let's see, energy, like not having the energy to like really be active in the morning. Just like doing everything that I could to get by.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a symptom of depression too, right? When it's hard, the harshest in the morning, and it somehow lifts for whatever reason during the
Mm-hmm.
day. I've heard so many people describe it like that. And would you say that that's accurate?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I also, I mean, it was not diagnosed, but looking back I'm one of those people who keeps the copies of my lab work. And I looked back at my lab work from when I was in my early 30s, and I mean, my fasting blood sugar was always high. Nobody ever called me out on it, or ever mentioned it to me, ever. So, I mean, I think I was leading down the path to pre-diabetes. I may have been pre-diabetic by the time that I found all of this. And let's see what else.
Yeah, that's because, lab ranges will not flag a fasting blood sugar in the 90s, 100. Some have the range up until 110,
Yeah,
which is mind
yeah.
blowing to me. I mean, and I tell my students this all the time, like the ranges as in functional medicine and then like progressive medicine are just so different than what your standard lab or your standard physician is going to tell you. So you got to be your own advocate. And like you said earlier, people always come to keto, carnivore, they come after a personal health crisis that led them down this road, because unless you've struggled with your health, you're not going to do the extra work, right? Because if everything is going fine, there's no reason for you to go down that path, unless maybe like in very rare occasion, somebody in your significant other, you saw just a massive transformation, you were convinced. That's, you're so lucky. But most people, we go through the ringer,
Yeah.
basically, right? Yeah. So, and also another thing that you mentioned with regards to the high highs and the low lows, isn't it funny how were you to go to a psychiatrist, they would have just slapped you with a label, you've got bipolar, take an antidepressant, end of story. And they wouldn't have invested the time or energy or interest in talking to you about health, because they don't even know. I mean, even doctors, your typical physician doesn't really get nutrition education the way they should. And if they do, they get what the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics puts out, which is, an organization heavily funded by the food companies. I mean, you go to the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics conference, they literally have stands for Coca-Cola, for the sugar makers, all kinds of crazy stuff. Because I have a lot of my friends, I mean, I'm a traditionally trained dietitian. A lot of my friends are around, nutrition professors, and they'll go to these conferences and they'll be taking pictures, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow, how can people see through this? Not only do they have those stands, they are given platforms. They are the speakers. Those representatives for those companies are also speaking at the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics conferences. Mm-hmm. And on the other end, look at you. You have so many food companies, like you can't even be here. You're not allowed. It's sad.
I agree. It's a problem, and I mean, I do feel that we can chip away at it. I mean, what's going to eventually happen is we'll reach a tipping point, and those companies that are making those foods that are so bad for our health, they will, once we reach that tipping point, they'll have to change, because they won't continue to make the same amount of money that they make right now. So, gosh, I hope I have to see that. I really do.
That's what I think about all the time. When is that tipping point? Every semester, every year, when I'm teaching my students, there's a chapter where we have to talk about the obesity epidemic. And so I go to the CDC obesity prevalence maps. I pull them up every year and we update them, because they update them every year. And every single year, ever since I've started teaching for years now, it's always on an upward and upward and upward trend. And now, like the last one that came out, they had a brand new category that they just created, which is 35% or more of certain states now residents are obese. It used to be 30% was the highest category. Now that's not enough anymore. It's 35%. And when will that tipping point happen is the question. You would think that what happened in 2020 would have been a wake-up call, given that 78% of those who suffered grave consequences were either overweight or obese. But those weren't in the headlines, right? We weren't talking about how that's a major risk factor. There was one message and one message only. And you can't even talk about obesity or health. The hashtag natural immunity was banned on this platform we're on right now. We could, I was, me and everybody I know, we were censored in some way, shape, or form. So you would think that would have been a tipping point for the United States, and even worldwide. But you think at least in the United States, we are pioneers in scientific research, creativity. We should be leading the way, and we're not. And I hope it's coming soon, and I know what's going to happen is going to happen from within, from a grassroots movement, because it's definitely not going to happen from the businesses whose sole purpose is to make profit. I mean, they are a business at the end of the day,
Yeah, it's scary, but I mean, the best that we can do is continue to move forward, continue to help the people that we can help, continue to spread the message that we can spread, and reach the people that we can reach. And I mean, that kind of brings us full circle. Like, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And hopefully, as we continue on every year, the event will get larger, and the more people that attend, the more people I know I'm going to reach. Because I know that for every person that comes to KetoCon, I'm going to reach at least 5 other people. So if we have 3,000 people there, I know that I'm going to reach 15,000 people. And every year, if we keep doing that, eventually we'll reach that tipping point, or at least help contribute to it.
Yeah, and hopefully also brands, and it doesn't have to be just food companies that could support KetoCon. It could be so many. Just not Coca-Cola.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. If for anyone who's watching this, that if you go to our website, ketocon.org, and go to the exhibitor showcase, you'll see the companies that are going to be there. Like I said earlier, when we first launched this event, it was mostly food product manufacturers. It's probably about a quarter of the total right now. Oh. So we have supplement companies, educational companies. There are a few food product manufacturers, sauna companies. Body Spec will be there doing DEXA scans. So they're actually bringing 4 vans that they travel around with to the exhibitor hall floor. And they're going to be doing DEXA scans live during the event, all 3 days that people can do. There are, let's see, nutrition companies, coffee. There's a company coming to KetoCon from outside of the United States that created a device to help with lymphatic drainage. And it's created with the intention of someone like you or I being able to use it, not necessarily for like a doctor in a medical office to only have it. I'm really excited about that. Let's see, there's a company that makes a pasta substitute that I love. It's konjac noodles. It's made by that konjac fiber. So the name of that company is New Pasta. They'll be there. As you can see, I mean, just based on what I've said, skincare, natural skincare, biohacking is becoming like the big term in this space right now. So the people who have found that they've found their like metabolic health, their nutritional health, they're coming to the event too, so they can learn more about cold plunge therapy, so they can learn more about sauna and experience at the event.
Yeah, I'm so excited about all those things. I love playing around with all variables. I'm definitely a biohacker, although I don't have the Oura ring. They should probably sponsor me.
Probably should.
Right? But yeah, like there's so many things that go along with the lifestyle of a healthier, cleaner lifestyle. The beauty field, I feel, requires a revolution, cleaner beauty products. I'm fully aware people aren't going to stop wearing makeup. I know I'm not going to stop wearing makeup anytime soon, but wouldn't it be great to start developing cleaner and cleaner beauty products? And the more I do my research, the more I realize there's so many of them out there. There's a lot of actual ability to create great products, great colors, and just things that can compete with the traditional, beauty products on the market, but that don't have those toxic chemicals in them. And that's something I'm very excited about.
Right. Yeah. That's something that I went down the path of investing in myself. Like during lockdown, I started seriously looking at all the different things that I put on my skin, because I knew what I was putting in my mouth. But so, of course, during lockdown, I had the time to give that some consideration. That's when I stopped coloring my hair. That's when I started cleaning up the products that I use. And you're right, there are a lot of much better options out there than standard big company, big deep pocket makeup manufacturers. There are a lot of options.
Yeah. And when you see that there are companies out there, that means there are ways to create products that look nice and you want to use them, that don't have the cheapest, most toxic forms of chemicals. There's a ton of natural chemicals or plant material that can give you the dyes and the colors that you're looking for. I'm not an expert, but just by looking at those companies, you can see it's totally doable.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. Awesome. So, hey everybody, the Contoured Carnivore is with us. Everybody's saying hi. Let us know if you have any questions. I am here with Robin from KetoCon. We want you to join us in April. You can share the dates again.
Sure.
Do your thing.
Sure. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, April 21st, 22nd, and 23rd in Austin, Texas at the Palmer Event Center.
There you go.
3 days of non-stop action. There'll be more speakers than you can actually see. So if you are joining us, I recommend getting the $50 add-on so that you can have access to all of the recorded presentations after the show, because it's going to be non-stop. And like I said earlier, I mean, the energy of the show, there's really no better way to mix with or collaborate with, network with, meet the people that you know online. But no better way to go to invest your time in your health in a live environment. The live environment really makes all the difference. I don't know about you, but I did a lot of online stuff during lockdown. And I also tried to do KetoCon online for 2020. It was not the greatest thing we've ever done, but at least we did it. But I find that it's too easy when you're doing something online to be distracted, because you're, by nature, you're sitting at your computer, your phone's right there. But when you're immersed in the energy of an event like this, you're totally zoned in on what you're there for. So while yes, a lot of people are going to be taking selfies and pictures and interviews and networking, you're just totally immersed is the only word that I keeps on coming back to me. You're just totally immersed in wanting to be part of all of the energy and activity that's taking place.
Yeah, that's one of the best ways to enter a flow state. I remember reading a book by Mihaly Mihaly. Like that. Nobody knows how to pronounce his last name. So he was talking about ways to enter that flow state, and being with another person live with another human, that connection is one of the best, easiest, and quickest ways to enter that flow state. And yeah, it's like you feel the energy, you feel the vibe. It's just completely different. And then the connection, that human connection, is especially with people you want to connect with. You know, I know like people are always telling you, you know, you want to be connected to people, and sometimes you're like, I'm good, and it's like it's because you haven't found somebody you feel like, oh, is worthy, or you would like to spend more time with them. And so those are your people, you know. You're gonna want to connect with them. It's not the same, you know. So yeah, awesome. Okay.
Well, I really happy.
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions, feel free to jump in.
Give us all your questions. We're here to answer them. We're talking keto, carnivore, and we're talking the KetoCon conference. It's so funny you said it's only been since 2017. I feel like it's been going on forever. And I feel like it's the biggest thing, maybe because everybody, you know, is like sharing it and talking about it. And all of my favorite speakers are always there. I always felt like this is this thing that has been going on forever. And I didn't realize it's only been since 2017.
Yeah, and the other misperception, if you will, is people think that we're this gigantic company.
No.
There's three.
No way.
Yeah, me, my son Ryan, who manages all the exhibitor sales and the exhibitor hall floor when we're there, and Rekha, who is our graphic designer and web developer. It's just the three of us.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's quite for us to do it.
Yeah.
We do the event once a year, and hopefully as we grow, we'll be able to do it more often. Right now we're doing it only in Austin, but in the future that may change as well. So yeah, that's a big misperception that we're this giant, huge company.
Right. That's
a way to find out local keto providers, for lack of a better term. Trevor, I'm not sure what you mean about local keto providers. Oh,
like a doctor who can prescribe a ketogenic diet. Yeah. Do you wanna answer that first?
He said find out local keto providers, for lack of a better term, the ones that will be at the conference. Yes, Trevor, if you go to the website, you'll see the exhibitor showcase. Those are all of the companies that will be there. If you're looking for medical professionals, that's different. If you could just clarify if you're talking about like medical professionals, if you're talking about companies that you want to connect with.
Yeah. I think what generally, because I get asked this question too a lot, I think what they mean is like somebody who, like a dietitian or a doctor who does keto, because you know It's actually hard for people to find somebody who does those kinds of consults. You know, you would think maybe because we're in the world, we feel like, oh, there's a lot, but really it's not as easy.
Right.
The good thing now, everybody's offering Zoom, so that's great. You know, I do coaching. If everybody is listening, drsarahzaldivar.com. You can check out the coaching. I do, before I let you go, I do want to ask you about your challenges with the business part. I didn't forget that. I think that's very interesting to talk about. But I think we have a question here. Okay, I'm having a very hard time finding a doctor who supports a keto lifestyle. I'm diabetic. Do you know? Dr. Tro reversed his, lost tons of weight. I think he had diabetes and he reversed it too. I think, I'm not sure. You know, and he has a lot of providers that work with him in the United States. So now if you're international, I do offer keto carnivore coaching internationally. I do Zoom call. Actually, I only do Zoom calls, but there's so many. And then if you check, you know, the speakers that you were referring to, Robin, you know, that go to KetoCon, maybe try and see if they're offering coaching calls. Dr. Sean Baker has, you know, Rivero.com, the company that helps people with carnivore. So there's a lot of options. Now, if you're talking about a physician who's doing keto, I would say Dr. Tro. I don't know if Dr. Tony Hampton does that, like one-on-one.
Right. I don't, well, Tony is a practicing physician. The way that you can find the medical professionals that are involved in KetoCon, if you go to our speakers page, their social media and their websites, everything is linked right there. Like Dr. Annette Bosworth is somebody that if you're looking specifically for ketogenic protocols, Dr. Ken Berry, there's a lot on our website, and all of their contact information is right there. If you're asking if there's like a general resource where you can Google keto doctors, I'm sure there is.
Dietdoctor.com should have a list too. Yeah. Yeah. The person who was asking says in Southern California. So yeah, I think your best bet is to find some online offering as opposed to in person. It's much rarer to be able to find it in person. And here's the thing, a lot of doctors in a way are scared of going outside of what they were taught and going outside of what the standard of care is. And so that's why they don't promote keto to their clients. And even Dr. Tro, he's a practicing physician, he gets a lot of criticism. They literally come after him all the time for promoting literally just keto. Like, he's not even talking about carnivore. You know, so yeah, you have to do a little bit of digging to find a doctor. But the cool thing with that is that you know how to do the diet. Maybe there's tons of online resources, and yeah, maybe get a few, you know, coaching calls. But at the end of the day, the best thing your doctor can do for you is help you taper down your medication as you reverse diabetes. That would be my advice, right?
Great.
Robin, let me ask you your challenges with the career switch. I would love to hear more about that.
Well, I mean, the most obvious would be the financial challenges. So I took a really big risk that I don't know if someone asked me now if they should do it. I don't know if I would recommend it. It was really scary. So I went from making a pretty good living to working with no promise of making money in the future. And so when I joined Keto Evangelist, I wasn't getting paid. It wasn't until we started doing KetoCon that I started getting paid. And I was lucky in that I had already put both of my boys through college. They were self-sufficient, and I had saved money. So that's what I lived on when we first got started. And the only thing I can attribute that to is just kind of blind faith. I just always knew there was something here. I knew there was more here. I knew that this was the right place for me. And until I received a message from the universe to get my ass in gear and find a different job, then I was going to keep doing it. And that's really what I've done.
you received the message from a university?
The universe, the
The
universe.
universe. Oh, I was like, wait. Okay,
Until,
okay, that's good. Yeah.
until something happens that says you need to go find a job, I'm just going to keep doing this. And so, yeah, it was challenging. It was scary, but I just kept moving forward. This drive that I have to keep making this happen is just, I guess, bigger than me. Then when we had lockdown, I mean, I was questioning what I had done for sure, especially after, once we were in lockdown and I took everything over, or right before lockdown. I definitely questioned my decisions. I had went through a rough time where I was trying to decide, why would all of this have fallen into place for me if this wasn't the right place? Why would all of this have happened? What lesson would there have been in all of this if I was not in the right place? But it turned out I was. And when we decided to do KetoCon again, when we were able to in 2022, everything just kept on happening in my favor. All the right people, wanted to be part of it. The venues that I had worked with were ready to reschedule with me. It just, things kept on coming to me without me having to fight an uphill battle. So
Right.
that's how I knew it was the right place. And that's how we continue. I mean, it's really all you can do.
Yeah, just persevere, follow your gut. And for me, it's like instinct and gut feeling is everything, you don't, it doesn't have to make sense logically.
Right.
If you feel it, if you have that strong sensation, you got to follow it. And then if that changes, then you follow that. But, it's our subconscious mind is so intelligent, because right now our conscious mind, of course, is focused on this interaction. But at the same time, my subconscious is picking up a gazillion other influences. I can hear some music in the background. I can see, from the edge of my eyes, I can still see things outside this window. And you might think you're not really taking all this stuff in, but you are. Everything stays there. And so that all this wealth of information accumulated over a lifetime, it is sent to you, to your conscious mind, because it's so much information. It has to be sent via a certain method, and that method is an emotion, a strong emotion. It's all of this information in a short period of time. For you to get it quickly, you get that emotion, and you got to listen to that, and you got to trust it. Now, of course, you got to have an educated opinion on things. It's not about like sitting on a couch, all your life and thinking that your intuition is something to be trusted. As long as you're educating it and constantly learning and growing, then you can trust it more and more.
Yeah. And
those are my 2 cents. Yeah.
That the ability to do that over the course of my life has definitely taken time.
Right.
Someone asked that she said she said that I've fallen off the wagon for a year. Will it be harder for me to get into ketosis for a second time? Do you want to take that, or would you like me to answer that?
You can go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So no, it won't be harder for you to get into ketosis a second time. My recommendation would be to focus on getting in adequate fat and adequate protein. And then over the course of a few days, a few weeks, you'll start to feel much more level. Your blood sugar fluctuations will stop. You'll be much more balanced. And it will be much easier for you to tweak what you're doing so that you can get back into ketosis.
Yeah, very well said. I agree. The cool thing about somebody who's had an experience with keto before, you've been in ketosis before, you're going to be able to have an easier transition the second time around versus somebody who's never been in ketosis before. So it's similar to how you have muscle memory. You have a certain memory in your body, the amount of mitochondria, how they've adapted in the past. You don't lose that. And that's a really good thing for you. It'll be always hard that first few days, if you've been eating, more carbs, more addictive foods. Addiction and sugar addiction and food addiction are very, very real things that everybody is simply still so casual about, and hence why everybody's suffering. We're too casual about the pumpkin pie on holidays. We're too casual about cakes, on your birthdays and stuff. And it's like, this is a real drug. You know, and at least in rodents, we have very clear evidence that sugar is more addictive, not just than cocaine, but than heroin. Multiple studies show very clear evidence that rodents prefer the sweet taste. They've used saccharin. They prefer the sweet taste to a much higher extent than they prefer heroin. It's like, what? Yes. Yes. I've done my dissertation on sugar addiction, and even going through that whole process, I still was casual about it. And it wasn't until a few months ago that even when I was doing carnivore, I was still including a little bit of electrolyte mixes with some sweetener and stuff. And it wasn't until a few months ago that I really had to take it a lot more seriously. And it's just, you're torturing yourself for no reason, you know? It's like when you cut out caffeine, you know, if you're going to go back and drink a cup of coffee, you know it's not going to be that one cup. You know it. Why? So if you know that, why don't we apply the same logic to sugar? It's a drug.
I agree.
So, yeah. That's a great question and great advice. Did you struggle with the sugar addiction or food addiction when you transitioned?
I really did. I mean, I think that might have been the underlying theme of all of this for me, was the food addiction. And the sugar addiction just is, I mean, that if you're addicted to food, you're addicted to sugar too. There's just no way. Yeah, it was really hard. And I'll tell you that I have experienced the same thing with sweeteners. So I've noticed that even something as neutral as allulose or monk fruit, it doesn't take much before I'm using it every day again. I actually noticed that about this past week, because I had stopped drinking coffee for a long time. And then I started drinking black coffee, which I actually like. And then I don't remember when, but it was probably this past summer, I added something to my coffee and added a little bit of monk fruit. And then before I knew it, I was drinking coffee every day again, but not black, with the monk fruit. And so I've recently stopped doing that again, because I see what happens. It's kind of, maybe it's not impacting my blood sugar. Maybe it's not, you know, spiking my insulin. It's definitely doing something to me though. And I feel much better without it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like we have to treat ourselves. And I know this is going to sound so extreme, but there are studies that give us very good reason to believe it's true. You have to treat it like a heroin addict. A heroin addict isn't going to have a little bit of heroin in their coffee every day, right? And expect not to have cravings for the drug, or expect to live a sober life. And the same thing, at least in rodents, we have the evidence for that. And then people are saying, well, those are rats. We're not rats. Like, okay, have you looked at the brain scans in humans? Have you seen the same kind of damage in the brain scan of a human who suffers from obesity? It's just like a person who suffers from drug abuse, hard drug abuse, or alcoholism. So, and then not only that, we even have studies in humans that show that the more body fat you have on your frame, which usually is proportional, obviously, to food addiction, you can't gain weight unless you're an addict to food. So the same trend happens. The more body fat you have, the more destruction you have in your dopamine receptors and dopamine activity in the brain. And so when you look at the evidence, animal studies and human studies, I think the answer is very clear. It's just a very, very scary thought to trillion-dollar businesses out there. They'll do whatever it takes to sponsor the influencers and the researchers and the media companies that will push a message that won't allow those products to be vilified.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That is the state. That is the inconvenient truth, unfortunately. And people can't wrap their heads around it because it's so prevalent. It's like everybody is addicted. And it's always the carbs, right? I mean, it's hard to be addicted to just fat. It's hard to be addicted to just protein. It's always the carbs. And that's because ancestrally speaking, we never were exposed to such high amount of carbohydrates in our environment.
Right.
Even foods. Exactly. I go through an exercise with my students because I teach at Miami-Dade College nutrition. They're so lucky. Every semester, I go through an experiment with them where like, okay, let's Google wild carrots, let's Google wild apples, wild potatoes. All of them had almost like I can't even overstate how little the amount of carbs they had. They even tasted bitter. And the sheer lack of carbohydrates in our environment was crazy. We never got this amount of carbohydrates that we're eating, you know, in this day and age. And when people say, oh, but fruits and vegetables, like even the fruits and the vegetables were almost inedible. Most of them were bitter and had toxins in them. Potatoes, tiny little potatoes, those are the wild variety of potatoes, and most of them are inedible and bitter. There is not one fruit or vegetable that I have Googled to this day, and I'm constantly trying to Google everything, that I haven't found was had almost, you know, no sugar in it, or was bitter, or had toxins. Usually it's all three combined. So yeah. It makes sense that we would be addicted to something so new to us. It would make sense that we wouldn't be able to handle this very, very recent environmental trigger, or this very, very recent introduction to our food supply, of course.
Right.
You know?
It was basically just a couple hundred years ago where none of this was available.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Broccoli.
And
It wasn't really started getting pumped and consumed up until like the 1950s. Before that, just a few Italian farmers brought it over from Europe, and they brought the crop, but they didn't do much with it. And it wasn't until the 1950s that it became a thing.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
It's hard to believe that, I mean, that really was, I know to a lot of people that seems like a lifetime ago, but, well, actually to a lot of people it was a lifetime ago, but it's really not that long. I mean, when you look at the, you know, over the course of evolutionary history, it's nothing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like in the last, what, 0.001% of our time here as a species here on Earth did we really start doing the agriculture, like the agricultural revolution happened 10,000, 12,000 years ago. That's nothing compared to millions of years before that, eating a carnivore diet, hunting, and, you know, that's what we evolved during an ice age. And during an ice age, you did not have plants, and the plants that you did have were very tiny and very poor in their starch and carbohydrate content. They were bitter, and 80% of plants anyway in nature wants to kill you. So it's like that's a sign. That's a sign that we should really pay attention to. And yeah. It's just people don't know. I had a student today because I just started this new semester in Miami-Dade, right? And I had a student today who, because I'm talking about carnivore, all this fun stuff, and she's like, fruits and vegetables, or something to the effect that there were populations that ate only plants and survived for decades, eating nothing but plants. And I'm like, please give me the reference, because I have never heard of any human population in recorded history. There has never been any documentation of people, human, eating solely plant foods, ever. The only documentation was a very, very long time ago, Paranthropus, and they went extinct. They went in a vegan direction and they went extinct. And then that's like a common ancestor. And then from that, we had the Homo genus, which eventually became Homo sapiens. We went in a more animal-based approach, and here we are. We're still alive and kicking.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, so you know, understanding the history, and that's why I love what you're doing. I love what I do as well, and what all of the carnivore influencers are doing, just spreading this information it's there, it's on the internet. It's just, how do you get exposed to it, you know? And I know I've struggled with my health a lot, so I, you know, put on my nerdy glasses on for decades, and eventually you get to the information, but you know, you want this to become more mainstream. You don't want people to suffer the way that we have. before we found this information, you know, and we just have to share it. And I know right now the money is not on our side. There's not a lot of profit to be made from, you know, promoting unaddictive foods, but hopefully in the future it will be.
I heard recently that that a few pioneers in this space were recently received a very large grant for research. So I think that over time, like you and I said earlier, there will be a tipping point. And
Yeah.
I hope that we have the opportunity to see things grow quickly, just like the internet has the capacity to spread a lot of bad things really fast, but it also has the capacity to spread a lot of good. And hopefully we will have that on our side, that this research will continue to come out and people will get closer and closer to that tipping point. And I really hope to be, I hope to be able to see all of that. I hope we all get to see our efforts being recognized.
Yes. So the sooner the better. We want to see it in our lifetime. And in a way, when you see how quickly technology is, it's exponentially progressing, I would love to see that as well in nutrition. You know, and I think in a way it's happening. Like, look how quickly we went from keto to carnivore, you know, like a lot of people did great with keto, and then very quickly you started reading about carnivore, and then those people who were still struggling on keto all of a sudden had, you know, more ammo in their arsenal to improve their health. And so it is exciting. The internet is, you know, odd, like you said, it can be used for either purpose, but if you're using it for the good things in life, it can literally transform our lives.
Right.
If it weren't for the internet, you know, I never would have improved my health for sure. Because if I just stuck with what my academic training gave me, I don't know where I would be right now. You know?
You were able to find it.
No, it's hard. It's hard. So yeah, thank you so much. Let's see. We didn't talk about time. It's almost 1 o'clock. Do you want to wrap it up?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think.
Let's see. Okay, we don't have any questions. I guess I'll leave you with the last word. Anything you would like to share? Maybe just tell people again about KetoCon and any last minute message.
Sure. So again, KetoCon is scheduled for April 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, which is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's taking place at the Palmer Event Center in Austin, Texas. Tickets can be purchased at ketocon.org. Right now, the 3-day general admission pass is $200. It is increasing to $250 on February 1st and to $300 on March 1st. If you're interested in attending and you haven't purchased your ticket yet, you can use the discount code Dr. Zaldivar.
Zaldivar. Yeah, they know. My audience knows. Don't worry. I'll put it, if I post this on YouTube, then it'll be right under the description box.
And that will save you $50. And we'd love to have you. If you are exploring health topics, if you are looking to improve your health, if you are interested in meeting the people that you converse with online, if you're interested in seeing your favorite speakers and speaking with them one-on-one, because they all stay for the entire event, they're there the whole time, I would encourage you to come. We're expecting somewhere around 2,500 to 3,000 people. It really is, it takes on a life of its own when it first starts. It's a lot of fun. You'll be armed with a lot of tools and knowledge when you leave to improve your health. And you'll have a pocket full of, or a cell phone full of new contacts, people that you meet. There's no reason to feel intimidated, coming by yourself. If you want to bring a guest, that's awesome. But if you want to come by yourself, the crowd is very welcoming. The speakers are very down to earth. The companies that are there are some big companies there, but the majority of them were started by people like you and I, who saw a need for a product and developed it. And they are there at the event. They want to meet you. That's why they're there. So I would encourage you to give it a try.
Yes, I've only heard the best things. I'm gonna try to make it this year. If not, I am pretty sure next year I'll be at KetoCon. But for now, you have the code. It's Dr. Zaldivar, and I'll give you. What do they get? They get a discount.
Yeah, it's a $50 discount off the ticket price. So if you
Fantastic.
purchase it before February 1st, you'll get the 3-day ticket for $150, which is 50% off the door price.
Fantastic. So yeah, Dr. Zaldivar to get $50 off, and follow KetoCon. I know that I've watched so much content about it, and all of my favorite speakers are always there. And I've only heard the best stories of people who have been there, just how much connection, and you make friends for life, really, and you meet people who understand what you've gone through, who understand everything in a different way, so that you don't feel like you're alone on this journey.
Right.
So yeah, thank you so much, Robin. I'm so happy I finally met you.
Well, I really appreciate you having me. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time to have the conversation.
Absolutely. This is important. Thank you, Robin. Thank you to KetoCon. Thank you to everybody for sticking with us till the end. If this is going to be on YouTube, then make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that little notification bell icon so YouTube alerts you every time I post a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone. Bye.